time to start.
Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
All right. Brad Show with you here on a Monday afternoon, 1:30 in the capital city. Diet Pepsi Intel. On a weird, wild weekend. Oh, man. Did you see 2nd Avenue still closed? I don't have a lot of irrational... I'm not a phobic person, per se, but I will... One of the biggest fear, and this comes from spending way too much time on our nation's highways and byways, my probably biggest fear is trucks hauling things loosely, whether it's, you know, the guy in the rusted out Datsun, like with the his house is on there, Beverly Hillbilly style, coming up and coming through the windshield. Now I have to worry about trucks hitting. There's a hand. Now I have to worry about trucks hitting overpasses and dropping them on me. Oh, good. They're saying now 2nd Street will be closed until Wednesday. They had to get a crane in to pull the bridge off the lady, who apparently is okay, but it's like, yeah. And that's in the 20s at night. I mean, this is... it just like blinked. Wasn't it like 100 degrees like a week ago? You blink and all of a sudden it's literally freezing outside. Screwy time of year. Now it's getting dark too.
Except today was pretty nice.
So far, it's really windy though.
I can't attest to that, but
today may be a
cold.
dog park day. Vader needs to get out and run a little bit before the weather gets freaky. But the weird and the wild continues over the weekend, and I blow up everything I said I was going to talk about because producer Dan keyed me into this one. Didn't think I would see this over at townhall.com, where it's kind of a right-wing fever swamp, I think is the best way. If you really want to know what Laura Ingraham, Ann Coulter, and Chuck Norris have to say about important issues, Town Hall's the place for you. It's just kind of a right-wing clearinghouse. And Dan alerted me to this like 5 minutes ago. Steve Deace is writing pro-Romney articles. Like, I feel like the guy in the Memorex commercial. Like,
yeah.
Up and down, left is right, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Not unexpected, however. Talked about this the day after the debate. How, for at least 24 hours, the right-wingers wouldn't be needing all of those male enhancement pills they sell all over talk radio. They were jubilant. They were happy. They saw signs of success, and they reacted as expected. Now, forget the fundamentals of the race not really changing at all. Again, other than, the debate bump. And it was a horrible debate performance from the president. I don't think there's any way to spin that. I know the latest is, the president does have a lot of, things on his plate, and they didn't have the time to debate. I mean, this is the guy who went and absolutely killed at the White House Correspondents' Dinner as the bin Laden raid was ongoing. So I don't buy that one. I think it was Al Gore that tried to do that. He wasn't acclimated to the high elevation, can't mess with you. And while that's true, it's not like, again, he hasn't performed well in Denver like at the Democratic National Convention in 2008. So, look, it was just a bad performance. The substance was fine. The performance was terrible. And it shows. I wouldn't get too giddy over the, 67% in CNN's poll said that Romney won the debate. Yeah, well, I would be counted in those 67%, but do you think I'm voting for Mitt Romney? But with just a little bit of light. And it had been a bad 3 months for Romney. Pretty much nonstop. I'm trying to think of before the debate, what was the last positive Romney news cycle? I can't remember one.
I don't think there's been one. But, maybe you should vote for Romney. Because then if he wins, if you can convince people to vote for him, then you'll keep your job because you can still complain.
I can complain plenty about President Obama. I would love to vote for the guy that the right wing keeps talking about. Bears no resemblance to the actual Obama, but he sounds great. But this is the first real pause. I mean, even the Republican National Convention. What was the number one takeaway from that? Clint Eastwood talking to an empty chair. Overshadowed everything else at the convention, including the nominee itself. So this was really the first positive Romney news cycle, and you're seeing how Republicans are taking it. Understand, this is, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, a very smart thing to do for the Romney campaign. This isn't concern trolling or anything like that. I mean, this is just take a step back for a minute. When you look at Romney support, what's the number one reason given? Again, this isn't me, I didn't talk to anyone at the BLS and make them create this number. No conspiracy involved. The number one reason Romney supporters give for voting for Mitt Romney is he's not President Obama. They're not jazzed about him for any number of reasons. They really hate the president. Now, are there enough of those people to get you 50% plus one of the vote? No. So ever since winning the nomination, remember when the Romney campaign promised us to etch a sketch? We really hadn't seen that until the debate. Dante Adkins has a piece. Romney's win is conservatism's loss. And again, think about the guy we saw on the campaign trail. And sometimes on hidden camera on the campaign trail, the 47% video. The guy who picked Paul Ryan, the guy who wants to turn Medicare into a voucher program. The $5 trillion tax cuts. Fighting regulation. What was it? Tax cuts, deregulation. It's pretty much the Republican cure for a good economy, bad economy, and syphilis. Tax cuts and deregulation. But what did we see at the debate? Here's a guy who said that, and again, the truthiness of this is best, well, we'll discuss that. But his tax cut program, right, wasn't across the board tax cut for rich people. I wouldn't do that, even if it's on my webpage. He was a staunch defender of Medicare, stepping away from Paul Ryan's, entire public persona. Said he would repeal Obamacare so that states could implement their own, just as good versions. And that his plan, whether it did or not, covered pre-existing conditions. Dodd-Frank. We got to get rid of it. Why? Not because it hamstrings large financial institutions, but because it bails out the too big to fail. He ran against conservatism. Go back and watch the debate. Watch the clips. This was his magic Etch-a-Sketch moment. Now, whether he had to lie his ass off or not to make it happen, this was his great, kind of run to the middle. And I think he did catch the president off guard. Something we talked about last week before the debate. very early on, Team Obama had two routes. Romney the flip-flopper, and going back to his days as a Massachusetts Senate candidate. Go to multiplechoicemitt.com, and you can find Mitt Romney agreeing with whatever side of whatever issue. Or they could choose the riskier strategy and paint him as the right-wing ideologue who was a slave to his base. And up until last week, he has been. I don't think they expected the about left turn. Which, again, gives me the chuckle, and why I go back to the Dace piece of how he's finally gone conservative. Look at him now. He's finally a conservative. He's running on conservative ideals. Maybe they just hate Big Bird that much. I don't know. But it's funny how, again, team, right wing sees whatever, choose to. And certainly this is a group that isn't opposed or unaccustomed to living in kind of the reality lazy boy of their own construction. God, this feels comfortable. It's because I created it out of thin air. I mean, at this point, Mitt Romney could run on, I want to, rename every Ronald Reagan building after Stalin. And if he did it strong and Republicans thought it was a winning issue, they would support him on this. You don't agree? At this point, we have always been at war.
Oh, no,
with
I
Eurasia.
agree. I'm just laughing at your analogy.
But I think, honestly, the right wing would fall, as long as they thought it was strong, made their, little pinkies feel bigger, and it was winning, they would cheer on anything. I think that kind of team mentality is
Personally, I think you put way too many caveats in that.
But no, I think that team mentality is so. If it has an R next to its name, it's inherently good.
Yeah, I would say.
And if it has a D next to it,
he could just do it, and they would support it because, who else can they support but Barack Obama if they don't support whatever Mitt Romney says?
Well, no, I think, again, it has to be delivered a certain way.
I don't think so.
There were plenty of conservatives who rightfully saw the 47% video as truly damning. Just because how many Republicans are in that 47%? You look at the top states where they live, it's almost all Southern. It is truly the Republican heartland, the Republican base. It's Mississippi, it's Alabama, it's Texas. It's where they live. Those are those top states. Surprisingly, many red states are the highest recipients of government aid, taking in far more than they give back in tax returns. Those are your red states. Crap holes. Bad places. And then there's states like Iowa where because of ag subsidies, so much money flows in. It's like crazy. But at this point, literally, Romney would say, I think anything. And this is the salesman coming out. Because he's finally figured out that no matter what he says, if he gives off, the impression of a winner versus the kind of loser stench he's been for the past couple months, they will flock to him. And it doesn't even matter what he says. He can run away from his tax cut program. They're cool as long as you're winning. As long as, Team R shows a head in the scoreboard, we're cool. Can he fully shake the Etch-a-Sketch? Well, time will tell. He's got a month. And he's got a lot of ground to make up, especially in these swing states. The vice presidential debate is this week and should be a hoot. Just the right has convinced themselves that Paul Ryan is the master, is the Last Dragon style. He has the glow, and that Joe Biden is a drooling doofus ignoramus. Again, this is the danger of believing your own press clippings. Having watched Paul Ryan, take hard-hitting questions from Chris Wallace and be flummoxed. Get, softballs from Bob Schaefer and get, tied up. I'm curious to see how he will actually do on a debate stage. And I think especially after a president's poor performance in Denver, I think you're going to see Biden unleashed. Typically, it's the vice president's job on the trail to be the attack dog. The president's job is to appear presidential. In the meantime, I think you're going to see Romney, again, do the sales pitch. And we saw some of that today at VMI. Now, again, forget the inherent irony in a guy. Was it 4 deferments Romney got? I think it was 4. While other guys his age were being shipped off to Vietnam. He was putting on the short sleeves.
He had to go mission in France. It's really important.
Riding his bicycle, doing a Mormon mission in France.
Now that's funny. You think he actually rode a bicycle?
They have pictures of him riding a bicycle.
Why would they have pictures of him riding a bicycle if it wasn't staged? I don't think he probably rode around in his daddy's limo door to door and then got his bicycle out of the trunk.
Wouldn't surprise me. The point is, he is, joining this kind of group of chicken hawks, whether it's Dick Cheney, Rush Limbaugh, all of these guys who talk tough, right? But Limbaugh famously avoided the draft by having a cyst on his butt. That was
a butt pimple?
Poloidal cyst.
I don't know what that is.
Google it. There's some fun pictures. Cheney with his multiple deferments. Unfortunately, again, Romney didn't have the connections to get himself in the Texas Air National Guard. Seems all of these guys who want to talk tough. I want to talk loud and carry a big stick and a missile battery behind me. All, almost universally, or chicken hawks. This is part of where the disgust on the right came from John Kerry, because he actually lived the life that these guys dream of when they're sinking into the Barca lounger watching Fox News, getting angry about, the perceived slide of the day, or when the members of the 101st Chairborne, write their angry pro-war screeds, right, on Free Republic. In
all fairness, though, they did run a real war hero last time, and he lost miserable.
They did.
The guy got his arms broken in captivity for our country. He was a real war hero.
Absolutely, he was. But this is the same party that in 2004, just 4 years prior, was wearing little Band-Aids with purple hearts drawn on them to mock John Kerry. So how much they truly value sacrifice. When the 9/11 GI Bill came up for a vote, Republicans ran from it. When the 9/11 First Responders Health Care Bill went in front of Congress, Republicans blocked it. And this is their love of their troops ends when the photo opportunity ends. They have no qualms about, in one example, sending soldiers overseas into war without proper body armor, without up-armored Humvees. Guys running through Iraq were building their own kind of bulletproofing with sandbags and rebar. It's actually time to step up and serve the troops. Well, that's messy and costs money, and we're not all that jazzed about it. So today at VMI, a place that Mitt Romney wouldn't have been caught dead near when he was, eligible to serve, gave his very impassioned, national defense speech. And I watched it this morning, and I heard a bunch of stuff that Obama's already doing. He said he will pursue a real and successful transition to Afghan security forces by the end of 2014. So did Obama. Talked about arming the Syrian rebels. Okay. Now, the Obama administration has approved assistance of Syrian rebels through other Arab states. In fact, just today, a shipment of Saudi weapons was photographed in Syrian rebel hands. He talked tough on Iran, completely ignoring the fact that we've pretty much crippled the Iranian economy. And on the flip side, or the flop side, depending on what side you come down on, this is the section that got me. He was talking about Israeli-Palestinian, the peace process. It said, finally, I will recommit America to the goal of a democratic, prosperous Palestinian state living side by side in peace and security with the Jewish state of Israel. On this vital issue, the president has failed, and what should be a negotiation process has devolved into a series of heated disputes at the United Nations. In this old conflict and every challenge we face in the Middle East, only a new president will bring the chance to begin anew. Let's rewind. Let's go back to the 47% take, because there was 45 minutes of stuff. He said, I looked at the Palestinians. This was Romney earlier in the year. Not wanting to see peace anyway, for political purposes, committed to the destruction and the elimination of Israel. And these thorny issues, and I say there's just no way. The Palestinians have no interest whatsoever in establishing peace, and that the pathway to peace is almost unthinkable to accomplish. You move things along the best way you can, you hope for some degree of stability, and you recognize that it's going to remain an unsolved problem, and we kick the ball down the field. Now, I guess the easy question is, which one's the real Mitt Romney? And I tried to make this point repeatedly in many different ways. There is no such thing as the real Mitt Romney. He's a sales guy. Right? Most people have worked in a place with a sales department. You know the type. And I'm not talking about everyone who does sales, all right? But there's those sales guys. Slick back hair, wear the suit as a uniform. It could be like 115 degrees, right? And their uniform doesn't change. They are to the core sales guys. What do I need to say to get the sale done? Someone else will take care of the deliverables. So someone else will take care of, actually following through. What do I have to say to get the deal done? I don't have to live up to the deal. I just got to get the deal signed and the paperwork turned in. So today it's, I will restart the peace process. Earlier it's, we're going to kick the can down the road. Which one is it? And this is the fundamental problem of the Romney campaign. And I know I cite him too much, but the guy does have a Nobel Prize in economics. Paul Krugman likes to do the Sunday shows. And he laid it out yesterday on one of them. A fundamental truth. And that is the press, our media, the people who bring us the news of the day. Not everyone has the time to sit down, read every newspaper, Sarah Palin style, read every magazine, look up bills in Congress, read think tank reports. No one has. People have lives. So, a handful of us that do this for a living, right, it's kind of our job to kind of distill and dispense. Not everyone is an independent arbiter. There's plenty of opinion to be mixed in with the journalism. But at least from the fact-finding journalism side. And again, this is something that I've said for years, quite often picking fun at Jennifer Jacobs, the Des Moines Register, for being a living, breathing, typing example of this. But over the weekend, Krugman laid it out. The media as it is now is, for whatever reason, completely incapable of dealing with just flat out lying. If you just flat out make it up, there's such an aversion to using that L word. When it does show up, David Gergen after the debate. And again, here's a guy who worked in like the Ford White House. Just different era. Called Mitt Romney a liar. Egads! Quick, where are my pearls to clutch? Now, part of that is just a massive misinformation campaign on the right, the working of the refs. It's the liberal media. The example I give, Dick Morris comes to town. And Jennifer Jacob writes up her article. Nowhere in it does it say, this event was paid for by the Koch brothers, Americans for Prosperity. There's nowhere that, Morris is a, Romney supporter. Like, I'm supposed to take this person as like an independent source of wisdom? Or, Romney puts out, like, we didn't build that ad. It's never, quote, taken out of context. It's Romney claims this, Obama claims that. We're balanced, but which one is it? We're looking for a media to provide us some answers. Not left answers, not right answers, just at some point you've got to be something more than a stenographer. I think there's just such a fear of liberal bias. They've just thrown up their hands and said, we quit. I'll show you some examples when we come back. Who's on hold? I have nothing.
Ron is on hold.
Oh, all right, let's see what Ron, welcome. What can I do for you today?
Oh, Bradshaw, you just kind of leave so many avenues to go down. It's tough to choose.
I only have an hour. I got to cover a lot of ground.
I know, but it's just like you're all over the place and there's so much to be said. All right. Here is the deal. This whole salesmanship, I think you're onto something. But, what is it with people? They can't realize that they're being sold the encore of George W. Bush. All right? That's what's being promised to them. All right? They're being promised more pointless wars. They're being promised white-collar looters unleashed again on the economy. They're being promised that we'll have to find another major American city to drown and fly around in a helicopter and look all helpless as grandma floats in the attic.
Okay, I don't think any of these are like the intended results. I'm sure there are those on the right who truly believe that supply-side economics, just one of these days, is going to come through in spades. That there will actually be trickle-down. You just wait for it, cross your fingers, plant your magic beans, click your heels 3 times. It's going to happen. I don't think Romney's one of those guys. I don't think Paul Ryan's one of those guys. They just know, well, it's a good message. They go back and look. Paul Ryan, is the sop to the right. And hopefully that's enough to keep the base from going completely, monkey crap. But look at 2000. George W. Bush sold himself as a compassionate conservative, right? He talked about how his tax cuts wouldn't explode the deficit. They weren't just angled to the rich. And, well, we bought it. Not everyone, but we as a nation bought it. Why not? Well, try that message again.
You know what? If Big Bird is on the chopping block, compassionate conservatism is so dead that no one even knows where it's buried. Okay, it's just gone. And the other thing about the salesmanship angle, I don't know what the Republicans always do this pose, but the only people that seem not to believe it are the real bad guys in the world, that Republicans are the tough guys who will stare down the bad guys.
Well, and part of that's just revising reality. I mean, Lord knows that conservatives like to talk, how tough Ronald Reagan was.
Was he tough when he got 300 Marines blown up in Lebanon? Was that Reagan tough?
Well, he was tough when he cut and ran. He
Okay.
did. I mean, that's just the simple fact. Even if you ignore 9/11, we'll give a mulligan that day. Ron, can you tell me, have more Americans died via terrorism, under Obama or Bush?
Under Bush.
Correct. And under Reagan. I mean, this is just, math. But those little details get in the way of the reality they want to push us.
And you know whose fault is this? Is the fault of the Democrats. This is the fault of Obama. And this is probably even the electorate's fault, our fault, because we know that we were lied into the Iraq war. We know that. We were lied into it. And the people who lied us into it, not only were they not punished, but now they're looking forward to a possible Romney administration job. All right? Same difference with the 2008 meltdown. All right? None of these guys, Jack Welch, Bloomberg, none of these guys saw 2008 coming. None of them put out a story that, there's a bubble about to pop, and the white-collar looters just went to town. I'll be gone, you'll be gone. And when it happened, no one went to jail. No one was singled out. That doesn't happen anymore in America. When you're of a certain status, you are no longer accountable to the proles.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, you can make the unforgivable mistake of ripping off rich people like Bernie Madoff.
The Bernie
and
Madoff.
Then you will go to prison.
Right. But you know what? If you tank people's pensions, if you get their sons and daughters killed in pointless wars that you don't even win, when was the last time a Republican won a war? Okay. Who are scared of Republicans? Are the Taliban scared of the Republicans? No. Is the Saudi army in Iraq? They haven't laid down their arms, mission accomplished. We better surrender now,
No,
And meanwhile,
George Bush was someone to throw your shoe at, not someone to be
and
feared. Well, that is, unless you're one of, a couple 100,000 Iraqi civilians who died during the occupation.
Some estimates of the Iraq war go up to 600,000, but we don't count dead people anymore like we used. Like even as late as, in Vietnam we had the body count, but in World War II, George Patton was glad to boast about how many Germans that he thought the Third Army killed. And it's even in, I think in Eisenhower's memoir. We don't do that anymore because that would make war look unseemly and rude and possibly unhealthy. And we don't want to do that because.
Well, again, I don't think people care unless we're not winning. That's the big issue.
But we're not winning. Okay?
No, I mean it's taken us twice as long to get out of Afghanistan than it did World War II. These are problems.
The Iraq War. We just said we're no longer fighting here. We're not going to win the Afghan war because no one wins in Afghanistan except if you define winning as keeping the highway between Kabul and Kandahar open during the daytime. That's a victory you might be able to accomplish.
No, for all the bluster, I don't know. There's certainly some ground to be, again, take a step back. There's certainly some ground to be made over Libya if you're looking to dig on the president for that. But the rest of this stuff, talking about the peace process, saying one thing one day, saying an entirely different thing on tape the other day. Again, I think most people take it for the bluster.
In one debate, one 90-minute debate, is this just media junk? Because I think sometimes it's just media junk. I think, and I like to hope, the 47% stuff is going to resonate on November 6th. And the fact that they dressed up and propped up Romney good for at least one 90-minute debate, that's going to be forgotten. Okay.
Well, again, look at Mondale, look at Dukakis, look at John Kerry, all these challengers who kicked ass in the first debate. And I forget, how did that 84 election turn out again? And even Gallup's 7-day average is back to pretty much where it was. The bump looks already to be leveling off. We've got 2 more debates, a vice presidential debate coming. Oh, and by the way, the rest of the campaign, I think it was you that tweeted, we've been debating for 2 years, and Romney is clearly losing, which is why you've seen so many different strategies out of Camp Romney. And Ron, I appreciate the call. When we come back, we'll talk more about the salesmanship, what do I have to say to close the deal? Because I think that's what we're going to get these last 4 weeks before the election. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. One word, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Just go to thebradshawshow.com for almost all of your Bradshaw needs. And frankly, can I just say, if there's a Bradshaw need that isn't fulfilled by thebradshawshow.com, I don't want to know about it. Keep it to yourself. I know there's plenty of those /fiction websites. That's your thing. Run with it. For everything else, thebradshawshow.com. Be back right after this on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's got to be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money-back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? You can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going, though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
fixed rider, it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
There we go. 210 Brad Show with you here on a beautiful Monday afternoon in the capital city. Yes, it's windy, but God, it's gotten like frozen cold. And I'll deal with it somehow. I am an absolute summer person. I don't do that whole cold thing. So over the weekend, it was on ABC's This Week. Thank you. I think Paul Krugman got just right. Said, the press doesn't know how to handle flat-out untruths. I don't know whether to blame, talking about the debate last week, I don't know whether to blame Jim Lehrer or the president. It's kind of amazing because Romney was not only saying things that are not true, he was saying things that his own campaign had previously said weren't true. Maybe the big one is Romney on stage saying that my plan covers pre-existing conditions. And immediately, in Spin Alley, right after the debate, campaign surrogate Eric Fernstrom has to say, it doesn't cover, but other states can do their own Romney Care. And that can cover pre-existing conditions. So kind of it's right. Maybe the biggest one, and this is, again, Mitt Romney previously talking about taxes in the Republican debates, and then talking about taxes in the presidential debate. See if you can spot the difference.
There were so many misrepresentations that it's going to take me a little while. Number one, I said today that we're going to cut taxes on everyone across the country by 20%, including the top 1%. So that's number one. So if the tax plan he described were a tax plan I was asked to support, I'd say absolutely not. I'm not looking for a $5 trillion tax cut. I will not reduce the share paid by high-income individuals. I know that you and your running mate keep saying that, and I know it's a popular thing to say with a lot of people, but it's just not the case.
So that's Mitt Romney, again, talking to the Republican audience and talking to the general audience, and there's a bit of a difference in the message. And the math works out as this. The one thing that has been consistent, it's on Mitt Romney's webpage now. Go look. He wants a 20% cut to all the marginal rates. Now, Tax Policy Center looks it up. It says, okay, that'll cost $5 trillion. Now, Romney says he's going to pay for that through getting rid of deductions and loopholes. This is where, Aaron Burnett over on CNN, who's literally in bed with Wall Street, says, oh, it's not a $5 trillion tax plan. You've got to, you can't say that because he said he's going to pay for it. Well, how? Mike Murphy, it's a Republican, strategy wonk, went on Meet the Press and said that Mitt Romney won't identify the loopholes he's willing to cut. Now, here's the problem. You guys won't give him any credit for closing loopholes because he won't name the loopholes. Why? Because you attack him for doing it. You attack him for not giving you a little target. And then you attack him when you don't get the target. You could close every conceivable tax loophole to, that top 1%. You're not going to make up your 20% tax cut. Simply not going to happen. The math can't work. Best case scenarios, you're still 85 to 90 billion short. And even that doesn't even include the tax cuts. Because again, when you're going to cut, the lower marginal rates 20%, how are you going to make that up? Get rid of the, say, mortgage interest deduction? Get rid of college tuition, child credit, you name it. You're going to just gut all of those? Not going to happen. And it would be wildly unpopular, which is one of the reasons Mitt Romney won't bring it up. Mitt Romney is also smart enough to know that if you say that mortgage interest deduction, I want to get rid of it, Congress is probably not going to go along with you. So at the end of the day, you're going to get your tax cuts. And then it'll be Congress's fault. pay for it. It's kind of a genius plan, but Romney won't even go that far on the campaign trail. And I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but I think that's kind of an important issue. If I go to you and say, I'm going to get $10,000 out of the bank. That sounds fun, right? Who doesn't want $10,000 to get some? Do they actually give you like big bags with dollar signs? Probably not. I've never removed $10,000 from a bank. But here's a case where details matter. For example, are you going to get a cashier's check? Are you going to go with a shotgun and a ski mask? In both cases, you're going to remove $10,000 from the bank, but the style is slightly different. That's why Romney just will never and can't answer what he would cut. So, again, to a Republican audience, I'm cutting everyone's taxes, even that top 1%. To a general audience, I'm going to pay for it. Even Newt Gingrich, and this was him on the Sunday shows, knows that that's a flip-flop.
Government. Fourth, I think you got to look carefully at how Romney structured this. What he said is something that frankly, true supply-siders don't necessarily love, but it's good politics. He said, I will close enough deductions that wealthy Americans will not get a net tax cut. Now, that's a pretty clear description.
And it's impossible. Let me just say this. Standing on the stage with you in Arizona, this is what Mitt Romney said. Number one, I said today we're going to cut taxes on everyone across the country by 20%, including the top 1%. Mr. Speaker, you mentioned that your opponent, Mitt Romney, had a problem with being dishonest in the primary. My question is, was he dishonest when he said that?
I think it's clear.
Oh, but cut out. It's clear he changed positions. You can go find the video yourself. Don't take my word for it, as LeVar Burton would say. Because the math doesn't add up. If you lower the top, you lower all tax rates, 20%, all right, that's $2.5 trillion. Alternative minimum tax, that's $700 billion. Repeal of the high income payroll tax, $300 billion. The estate tax, $150 billion. And tax cuts for corporations, $1.1 trillion. And all tax benefits for that top 1%, you only get $1.7 trillion. You eliminate all corporate tax benefits. All right, all the stuff that GE uses, that's $1.1 trillion. And if you eliminate enough middle-class tax breaks, and that's your college tuition, mortgage interest, you come to about $1 trillion. You put that, you lump it all together, you get about $4 trillion, or about $1 trillion short. Then we can talk about the $2 trillion extra in defense spending that Romney wants to do. And this is somehow going to balance the budget. How? This is the heart of the Romney campaign. Another issue that came up in the debate is somehow Paul Ryan is no longer, an entity, because Mitt Romney says he's going to defend Medicare. He will attack the president. And again, this is key. For $700 billion in Medicare cuts. Now, there's two problems with this. One, those exact same cuts are in Paul Ryan's budget. The guy you chose to be your VP pick. And two, you conveniently leave out the fact, under the president's plan, not one of those dollars, not one penny out of that, comes as a cut to benefits. Again, this has left Republicans in a bit of a quandary. Mary Matlin did the Sunday show circuit. And this is how she deals. And we bring up the Matlin clip. This is how she deals with being told that the Paul Ryan budget turns Medicare into a voucher program.
you say my plan covers pre-existing conditions when it doesn't, and when your own campaign has admitted in the past that it doesn't, what do you say? That's amazing.
You have mischaracterized and you have lied about every position and every particular of the Ryan plan on Medicare, from the efficiency of Medicare administration to calling it a voucher plan. So you're hardly credible on calling somebody else a liar.
Okay, so Paul Krugman is a liar for claiming that the Paul Ryan budget turns Medicare into a voucher program. Dan, can you play the Paul Ryan clip?
But what about the entitlements themselves? You can't freeze those at the level.
No, what I do is I propose a lot of different changes. It takes me two shows to go through it. Means testing our entitlement programs, optional personal retirement accounts for Social Security, converting Medicare into a defined contribution sort of voucher system with extra assistance for low income, means testing higher income, risk adjusting payments for people who have deteriorating illnesses.
So at this point, it's just throw out anything and hope it sticks. This is what brought, we'll go back to the beginning of the show. This latest is what's brought, of all people, Steve Deace into the fold. I mean, if he's saying this is the base of conservatism, okay, I guess Deace and I agree on something. And again, I understand the excitement among righties. It's no mistake that for some reason on Thursday, they were all incredibly happy and wonderful in a way that they hadn't been in months. Now, again, reality has a way of quickly settling in. Today's Gallup poll, Obama's approval +3, 51-44. And Gallup's overall tracker, again, they use a 7-day rolling average because any one day is, polls, statistical outliers, noise, that sort of thing. 50-45, 5-point race again. At the end of the day, it doesn't change much, but I think it does expose the fundamental problem with conservatism. They've got nothing. The bucket is empty. What was the Republican response on Friday when Romney went on Hannity to disavow his 47% comments? And credit where credit is due. I don't say this often, but Ed Schultz actually had a good point. I think there is a very strategic reason the president didn't bring up the 47% comments in the debate. My guess is, and I think Ed Schultz is right on this. Again, not something I say often. Not my favorite host. A little hyperbole there. Romney had the mea culpa, the I apologize, in his handkerchief, ready to go at the first mention of the 47% comments. And he waited and he waited and he waited, and they never showed up. Now, here's a debate watched by 60 million people. Wouldn't that have been a prime opportunity to attempt to defuse maybe the most damaging thing your campaign's done since, well, putting you at the head of it? Never happened. So he's got this answer, this I'm sorry. I don't know, this 47% of Checkers speech ready to go, and he never gets to fire the shot. So instead he has to go Thursday night on Hannity with, you're talking, 2% of that debate audience to give his address. And even then, when it makes the news on Friday, it's overshadowed not just by good jobs numbers, but almost the bigger story is the complete freak out of the right. Not arguing that the numbers aren't good enough or that economic progress isn't strong enough. It's the numbers are fixed. It's a conspiracy. They've jobbed the numbers. Why didn't we just think of that 3 years ago? Everything would have been fine now. So Romney never gave his, I apologize. I was wrong for the 47% comments. You're not all just a bunch of useless parasites who I can't, take responsibility for your lives. But even the right wing was willing to say that that's a great move and awesome. Even the same people who 2 weeks ago were applauding him for doubling down on it. They got nothing, and it's showing. Again, we go back to Bain, not Capitol. Again, this is absolute basest of emotion. I admit this. But it's good to see them again with a little bit of hope in their hearts. A little spring in the step. It will make the beatdown that they get on Election Day even the more sweeter. And after 4 years, again, birthers of communist, Marxist, B-Rock, the Islamic shock, super Allah, communist in chief. Watching those people, and yes, bathing in their sweet, sweet tears will make Election Day all the worth it. Just a couple of things. Quick before I got to bounce. Good news. More positive Democratic move in Senate races, whether it's Massachusetts and Elizabeth Warren maintaining her lead on Scott Brown. Claire McCaskill, again, not my favorite senator, although I have a soft spot because her kids used to listen to my rap radio show in Jefferson City, Missouri. So I have a little bit of a soft spot there versus Todd shut that whole thing down, Aiken. Seeing a resurgence in, again, generic, Democrat, Republican as far as House goes, because then, again, individuals get involved. But Democrats have the lead in the generic ballot. Again, I'm not saying that Republicans are getting desperate, but check out this attack. This is in Maine. A state senator. This is bring up that graphic. This is a attack ad against a Democratic state Senate candidate in Maine. They are attacking her World of Warcraft character. Apparently, they believe that the fact that she is and again, I don't play World of Warcraft. Do you know what is an orc rogue?
I don't know. I don't play World of Warcraft.
Yeah, you've played it. Admit it.
I actually downloaded it and tried to play it, and I couldn't figure it out. And it said it's kind of like Final Fantasy. I played it for about 5 minutes. And said, yeah, this is way too much for me.
I come from a long line of addictive personality, so I won't go anywhere near the World of Warcraft. But there's literally because I guess orcs are the bad guys.
Yeah, I think
From what I remember of my Warcraft and Warcraft 2 days, that she is unfit in her judgment. There's 14 million people with World of Warcraft accounts out there.
Some are worth a lot of money.
Yeah, and true story. On the black market, a World of Warcraft compromised account sells for more than credit card information. A World of Warcraft account is worth more on the black market than a credit card. Just to give you some idea of how.
Oh, there was people on eBay trying to get thousands of dollars for their characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, people try to sell it because they've been, playing it for years and decades or whatever, a decade. But in our world, Colleen Lekowitz is a candidate for state senate in her online fantasy world. She's an orc assassination rogue. Like they're literally attacking someone. Oh, I mean, I've seen some weird stuff when it comes to the state politics level. For example, well, the entirety of Ken Sorensen. But this, I have to say, is a first. It is a new world. How long is it till someone has to? We've already seen people have to get out because of their Craigslist postings.
Sure. You know what though? They should be thankful she doesn't play like Dungeons and Dragons, because a little D&D and Magic. Now that would really mess her.
Now, to be fair, if she was a furry or a LARPer, then I would believe those are true character flaws. You know what LARPing is, right?
No.
It's live action role playing. It's like Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah. I saw
Lightning Bolt. That guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No. That I'm okay with, and then just furries are bad in all.
And see, I don't know what those are either.
Oh man, have I got some stuff to show you when we're done?
No, I don't trust you enough.
Which is now. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Or just go to thebradshawshow.com. It's got all of that stuff on there. I'm always interested in what you see, tips and tricks, and especially the stupid things that Ken Sorensen says on his Twitter feed, because he blocked me for pointing out that he uses debunked forwarded emails as, I don't know, arguments, which is a little sad, but he blocked me for that. So when he has his like debate night meltdowns, I'm always interested to see what he has to say. So pass that stuff along, or anything else that you find interesting. In the meantime, we'll reconvene tomorrow, getting ready for the vice presidential debate. Will Joe Biden pull up in his Trans Am on stage? I hope so. Or maybe I've just been reading too much of The Onion. The Onion's depiction of Joe Biden is someone that I would love to vote for president. Unfortunately, it's The Onion. But still. So we'll break some of that down, and I'm sure more fun and frivolity as we get. Tomorrow will be 1 month out. Right?
Only one more month of this?
I know.
Joy.
I know. This has been going on since literally the day after the 2008 election. It was literally the week after the 2008 election that we had our first Bobby Jindal coming to Des Moines.
Except either way, we start for 2016, 31 days from now.
I think there will be one. I mean, they're already coming. We're already having, the Jindals of the world, these kind of second tiers who want to jump into the first, already coming to Des Moines. But I think there will be one big, clot in the Republican system. And that is, who do they blame failure on? That right-wing civil war. Before any semblance of what the 2016 election is going to look like. That's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of fun for those of us not involved to watch. All right, I got to scoot. Email radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Go to thebradshawshow.com, and thanks for watching here on webcast1live.com. See you tomorrow.